So now that you've had an opportunity to go ahead and try by yourself number bonding by pulling out tens, we're going to do a couple of those examples here. That way you can see and double check your questions to see if you've done it. I'm only going to pull a couple of the examples you had to work on, but let's start with this one. We're going to do question part 1, question F. 1F asks us to do 50 minus 6. Now, the goal of today's lesson was to subtract single-digit numbers from multiples of 10 within 100. But to do that, we needed to be able to number bond and pull out 10, which is why we've been practicing counting by tens a lot recently, because it's going to be a big skill for the rest of this unit. So I'm going to go ahead and switch colors right now, and let's take a look. Here we have 50. The number that we want to use for our question is our first friendly number, which is our buddy 10. It's a lot easier for us to do 10 minus 6 than it is for us to do 50 minus 6, because 10 minus 6 is something we know by heart pretty much. Okay, so 50, what happens to 50 if we go down, if we take a 10 out? Well, we're going down by 10, so 50 minus 10 would be 40, so we have 40 left. You can see this on a number chart too. 50, if you go down by 10, ends up with 40. The 5 in the tens place, the 5 in the tens place becomes a 4, and you leave the zeros the same. We can double check if this is the right number bond to do by simply adding 40 plus 10. Well, we end up with the 2 zeros in the ones place, because 0 plus 0 is 0, and the tens place, we end up with 4 plus 1, which is 5. So we know we got that one right. So now that we've number bonded and pulled out 10 successfully, we can move on to the next step, which is subtraction. We didn't want to do 50 minus 6. 50 minus 6 wasn't friendly to us, but we do know 10 minus 6. 10 minus 6 equals 4. That's a number problem we know very well. But we're not done yet. We still have 2 numbers to work with. We haven't used our 40, and we haven't used our 4. So no matter what, we always add together our our final numbers. Our last numbers are always going to be ones we add together. So 40 plus 4 equals 44, and that's what we get for our answer, 44. Now, we can double check to see if that's true. It's also as easy as counting down from 50 6 times by ones. But we're not going to do that, because I will confirm right now 50 minus 6 does equal 44. Let's do another one. Another question I predicted would throw people off just because it seems scary is 90 minus 5. But once you get the practice down, it goes the same as the other questions. So 90, we want to break out our 10, because 10 is our friendly number. And 90, when we remove 10, becomes 80, because once again, 9 is equal to 8 plus 1. We just bring the zeros for both to make sure that we keep our places correctly. So then we do 10 minus 5, because that's the easy question we know, which equals 5. And now we need to add together the numbers we have remaining, which would be 80 plus 5, which equals 85. And 85 is the right answer. I'm going to go ahead and go to the second page, and let's look at number 3. Let's look at number 3. It asks us to show how 10 minus 6 helps us solve 50 minus 6. Well, if we know 10 minus 6, 10 minus 6 equals 4. Okay, well, it's the same thing here. If we number bond 50, like we've been doing, into 40 and 10, well, 10 minus 6 equals 4. And what we're left with is 40 and 4, which gives us 44. Knowing how to subtract your numbers within 10 will help you subtract bigger numbers. Because if you look, 10 minus 6 equals 4 appears in both parts, even though these two questions up top are very different. And the last one we're going to look at, we are going to look at number 4, because I can almost feel people asking me, Mr. Meeks, please do number 4. I need help with it. Fear not, we're going to do it. Okay, so number 4 tells us this. Carla has 70 paper clips. She gives 6 away. We gotta find out how many she has left. Okay, so we have a number sentence here. She starts with 70. She gives 60 away, which means she's losing some, subtracting minus 6. Okay, so let's take a look. We're going to start off once again by number bonding 70. What are we pulling out? 10, that's right. Okay, 10, and then we're going to do our minus 6. But before we do this part over here, what goes into this piece? 70, when you go down by 10, gives us 60. So 60 and 10, and then we're going to subtract 6 from 10, and that gives us 4. And now we add 60 and 4 together, and we get 64. So she has 64 paper clips. Okay, to remember, when we're dealing with a multiple of 10, like 70, and we're subtracting any single digit number, such as 9, we always want to pull out 10. Because 10 is our friendly number. We know how to use 10. It is one of our favorite numbers. But we also need to know what other number is left over when we pull out 10. We can't just write 10 and then go straight to subtracting things, because then we'll end up with a missing number. We have to use everything. So when we pull out 10 from 70, we have to remember what's left behind, which in this case is 60. From there, we can do 10 minus whatever this number is and get our answer. And then we have to use up everything. So everything needs to be used up in this number sentence. We always add what's left over. Okay, so with that, I hope this is helpful and that this will help you with your homework tonight. Don't worry, this is not the only time we're going to be using number bonds like this. Number bonds like this are going to be a big thing in the next couple lessons. So, with that, I hope you all have a great day. Make sure you check your other classes to get your work done, and have a good evening.